Hello, my name is Jennifer Jones. I am chair of the Healing Trust and also a tutor with the Healing Trust. And today I'm here for Healing Awareness Week with Valerie Chiltonsmith. She's one of our lovely, well, quite a senior, quite a senior tutor. Very happy to be chatting with you today, Valerie. We're going to have one of our chats about healing and what is it? What is it? So the question that we're asking today is, what is the energy which heals?
Yeah, that's a very big question. So I suppose you could say that there's a short answer and the long answer.
I think we need both.
We need both. I think the important thing to get across really when we're talking to students particularly, is that it's not the healer that heals. We don't use our own energy. In fact, if you tried to use your own energy, you would be used up, you would get tired. So why is it that healers can sort of keep on going and they don't get tired? In fact, if you did get tired when you're healing, it's a surefire sign that you're not doing it properly. So first of all, we don't use our energy. So what is the energy that we use? Well, we use various terminology. People have their own terminology. We tend to use the terminology of source energy. And essentially, this is where the world of healing and the world currently of not science, because quantum physicists know exactly what we're talking about, but medical science, I suppose, sort of diverge, because in order to understand healing at all, you have to understand this concept of energy, that everything is energy, which of course lovely old Albert Einstein explained with his equation E=mc², that energy converts into matter and matter converts into energy. We know matter converts into energy. It's like, if you put a log on the fire and it burns, you get heat. So then the log disappears, it's converted. But understanding it the other way around is a bit more difficult for our little brains to comprehend. But maybe we can think about it as water vapor that coalesces into clouds, which then becomes rain and precipitates down onto the earth. So that's seemingly from nothing, you get a cloud and then you get water. So again, it's just energy. So there's this energy is everywhere, essentially. And we understand, healers understand, that it's the source of all things. It is no thing in itself, and yet it is the source of all things. It's that's why we call it source energy. It's the creative source. It is the universe. If you want to talk about the Big Bang, which personally I'm not that convinced about, but anyway, let's go with it. It's that which it was there before the Big Bang was the thing that banged and is the thing that is.
It really is quite challenging, isn't it, to tell people or to give some explanation of what's happening. But and also, I don't want to go into astrophysics, but the fact that the universe is expanding apparently hugely and must have started off as quite a small universe, even though that was mega, and that's just growing and growing and growing. But when you know how you feel source energy, it is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing, that ultimately you can talk about healing, I suppose, theoretically, but the only way to really understand it is to experience it.
Yes.
And so anybody who's watching who has never had an experience of healing, we would suggest that you have an experience of healing, and then it might start to make a bit more sense. So this energy is everywhere, but somehow or other you can't just access it at will. It has to be intentional. In the same way that, you know, you have a radio with lots of stations, which we know are broadcasting, some of them 24/7. Certainly there are television stations broadcasting 24/7, but, you know, we're not hearing them all in our heads. You need something to tune into them. And it's like you can tune into any radio station or any television station that you want if you tune into the right frequency. And by the same token, once healers are aware of this energy that we're tuning into, we can show them, teach them how to attune to that particular frequency of energy that is the one that does the healing. And then we become the transmitter. We become the radio set or the television set. So we are bringing through that energy and effectively then broadcasting it to the client or to the world, or however we want to send it, really.
It is remarkable, isn't it, how, because we do distant healing, of course, as well. We do hands-on healing, or hands being in the presence of somebody and doing healing. But actually, we know, because we've been doing it for some years now, that if we send healing to somebody, perhaps even without their knowledge, they automatically get the healing. It comes. And then you get a call from somebody, or you might have arranged something, you might be doing it very specifically with a particular individual. It really, really works over the whole planet.
Yeah, and this is because it works beyond the dimension of space-time.
Yes.
So we are on a particular third dimensional planet, which our home, the Earth.
Yes.
But we can only be aware of so many dimensions. So, you know, it's like, I'll just do a little demonstration here. Okay, so if you could just have a line, like maybe if there was a line on this paper, well, there is a line on this paper.
Okay.
That line has only one dimension because it's just got a length.
Mm-hmm.
But the paper itself has got two dimensions, length and breadth. And if I scrunch it up, it's now got three dimensions, length, breadth, and height. It's a bit of a weird shape, but there you go. And if I was to throw it from one hand to the other, it's got four dimensions, because then there's length, breadth, height, and the time it takes to go from one place to another. That's pretty much all we've got on this planet. We've got four dimensions, but that's not all the dimensions that there are. Michio Kaku did a book ages ago, I think it was called Hyperspace, which posed that there were at least 11 dimensions. They don't know where they are. But, my guess is it's in the imagination. The imagination is another dimension. You know, you can fly in your imagination, but you can't do it on this dimension. It doesn't work. So there are many more dimensions, and the dimension where the energy exists that we are calling source energy, that is the energy that heals, does not exist. Well, it does exist. It exists on all the dimensions, but it exists beyond time and space. And so therefore, when you channel the energy, when you're attuned to that energy and you send that energy out, then it goes anywhere that you want. And here's the thing, I said time and space, not just space. It actually works in different, outside of time. So there was a fascinating experiment which was quoted in Lynn McTaggart's book on the intention experiment, where there were intentions sent to particular patients. I think they were on a heart ward. And it was actually set up as this will get them because this will never work. And the healers sent the healing to these names that they were given. And then when the results were out, they looked at the control group, they looked at the group who were having the healing. The ones who had the healing had a much shorter stay in hospital and recovered much more quickly. What they didn't tell the healers was that this bunch of people who were in the experiment had had their operations 10 years previously.
Goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The healing went back in time from our point of view, but of course, at their point of view, it was happening at the same time that they needed it because it's outside of time. So it's this is where your mind really boggles. But of course, if it goes backwards, it can go forwards as well.
Yes.
So this is where it's like it kind of links in a little bit with the law of attraction, because with the law of attraction, you're setting your vision as to the outcome that you want. So but you're doing it in the now, because the now is outside of time. It's neither past nor future. And so if you can have that vision and, visualize it and so on, then it's kind of links in a little bit with that, because then you're effectively sending healing energy or positive energy into the future.
Wow. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is remarkable. And we, as you say, we think of time as being linear. You get born and then however many
on
decades.
This dimension, it is linear.
Yes.
On this dimension, it is linear, but there are other dimensions. So, the other thing I suppose that we need to say about this energy, the energy that heals, is that within this creative source, I suppose there's every vibration known to man, every frequency known and probably unknown, just in the same way as there are all the colors of the rainbow. But that's not all there is in the electromagnetic spectrum. It's like the electromagnetic spectrum, let's say, is this big, the bit we know is continuum, but the visual spectrum is this little witsy bit in the middle. But we know there are more on either side. So in the same way, the source energy that we're aware of contains all the energies, but the frequency that we're tuning into, and this is where it kind of gets a little bit emotional, except it's not emotional. So we're looking to tune into the energy of unconditional love. It's the love that heals. But again, it's hard to explain to people what we mean by that, because it's not romantic love. It's not emotional love. It's just pure love. So it's because we are conditioned as humans, and very few people have had the experience of being loved and accepted unconditionally. But the universe, the source, the energy that created us, loves us unconditionally. Even down to the worst despot on the planet. That individuation of the source energy, because we're made of source energy, because there isn't anything else, is still loved unconditionally by the source. And that's really quite a tough thing to get your head around. Because we can't really comprehend what it feels like to be loved unconditionally. And the people who are the ones who have had that experience are the ones who have had near-death experiences. And they have actually gone into that space of complete unconditional love, just like being in a blissful bath of love. And that's very often why they don't want to come back. But obviously they do come back and they tell us about it. And very few people other than that have had that complete experience. We can get a taste of it in healing.
Absolutely.
And in the meditations that we do.
Absolutely. It is remarkable being in that space completely, as you say, meditation and while doing healing, you're just in this bubble of blissfulness, as you say. And the person hopefully is also in that space of blissfulness. It's just remarkable. And it is, we can't promise, can we, with healing? We can't say, oh, yes, but you'll be cured of whatever it is you've come in with. We can't say that because it's not up to us to know or it's not up to us to fix people so that when we're doing the healing, they have whatever it is they need at that time.
Yeah, and that can be quite challenging as well for students because in a way, our job as the healer is to get out of the way and allow the energy, the source energy, to communicate with the intelligence of the client's whole being, not just their body, the whole thing, body, emotions, mind, spirit. There is an intelligence because we're all made of source energy. It's like source energy is talking through source energy to source energy. It's kind of talking to itself in a bit of a loop. So that's why everybody's body, every being understands the healing because it is the same energy. So it's like no matter who your client is, at their own level of inner intelligence, it understands that energy that's coming through because it is it. At its core, it is it. And that's why we can't say how the healing is going to work. We certainly can't say it'll fix, whatever ailment you came in with, but it always has a beneficial effect.
Yes.
It will always start that organism in its entirety to gravitate more towards the perfection that is the healing energy that's coming through. It's like it wants to grow more towards that healing energy.
Yes.
And it might be very subtle. You might hardly notice it in the beginning. And for one person who may have something that they've been working on for a while, the healing might be the last little piece of that work, and everything just starts to slot into place. But for someone else, it might be a much more slower process, maybe because if it was quick, they wouldn't be able to assimilate it. It's like, well, you can't even speculate really because everybody's journey is individual. And it isn't about just removing the symptoms either, because the symptoms are often there as symbolic teachers so that we learn something. We may need to learn to slow down. We may need to learn to love ourselves. We may need to learn to forgive somebody else. We may need to learn to stand on our own 2 feet or to stand up to somebody and be more in our own power. There's all sorts of lessons that each of us came to understand and to learn. And to a large degree, one of the ways that the universe teaches us is through physical symptoms. And so to take that away from somebody is like taking away the very lesson that they came here to understand.
Yes. And it's interesting, isn't it, how when you work with animals, humans, of course, have brains. Well, so do animals, but they have minds, humans, and they think about things and they worry about things and they go over and over and over and they question. So when they go to have healing, some will go to have healing and then they're asking questions and, oh, but I don't think this is working or this is working, whatever, they're thinking about it. When you heal an animal, they don't have brains like ours. and they clearly have brains, they have personalities and all of that stuff, but they don't worry. So when you put your hands out to an animal and it comes into your hands, it just absorbs.
Yeah.
And I've seen some astonishing healing with animals.
Yeah.
Because they don't question it. They don't worry about whatever. I've had a few, well, I've had quite a lot of amazing healing with animals who just come into your hands and just go, ah, because it's so nice. Yeah.
They just receive the healing, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Whereas the humans, and I speak as one myself, of course, we create this mind field.
Yes,
which is like an armor in a way.
Yes.
And it's because the thing that we really do not find it very easy to do is to surrender, to let go.
Yes.
We all want to be in control. What we're in control of is anybody's guess, but we need to think that we're in control of something, ourselves possibly. And that idea of surrendering and letting go, we have to let this armor down.
Yes, yes.
And the ego screams sometimes because it thinks it's dying. And it's like, no, you can't do that to me. But if we can learn to surrender, then the healing has the opportunity to get in. And sometimes that's why we have to be on our knees before we will surrender to something coming in. So many people have had amazing experiences when they have lost everything. They've lost control of everything. They're bankrupt, they're losing their house, their health's going all to bits, and they go, they hand over to some higher power. And it's because they have surrendered, because all of their tricks and tips and all the rest of it that we all do has come to nothing. It's not paid off. We've all been there. Well, I have anyway. Make a complete mess of everything, and then it's not until you're broken, that the ego is broken, that the higher energy can come in, and it's like, okay, right, now let's get to work.
And it's interesting, isn't it, when in meditation, often I do my Wednesday evening thing, my meditation, distant healing meditation on a Wednesday evening on Facebook. And so often I get messages afterwards saying, I fell asleep.
Yes.
And you find that with people who you're doing healing with in person, of course, as well. They just sort of crash and they lose consciousness, or they're very, very deep. They go into a very deep level of consciousness.
Yeah.
Because they are relaxing. That they're not sitting up bolt upright. Yeah. They've just gone, crash.
Yeah.
And that's really helpful when people can do that, so that they can actually just receive.
Yeah, fantastic when that happens.
It is amazing.
And of course, they're not asleep. And
they're not asleep. No,
because when you say to them, it's time to come back. Part of it is always listening and always comes back.
Exactly. No, they're not asleep. But sometimes I do get people texting me afterwards to say, "Oh, I fell asleep," and they woke up several hours later. Okay, that's all right. It's all fine.
Yeah.
So yes, different levels of consciousness, as we know.
Yeah, many levels of consciousness. Yeah. So hopefully that has shed a little bit of light on the energy which heals.
Yes, thank you so much.
And the healer's part in it. And some people might say, well, if this energy is all around, why do you need healers at all? I don't know the answer to that. But if we didn't need healers, then everybody would just be fixed anyway. So obviously the healer is an intrinsic part of the equation.
Yes. And there are, most healers, obviously, are people who want to give to other people, who want to help other people, who want to care for other people in whatever way that is. And so it gives us a role, us healers, of being able to help people. But yes, healing is all around us if we choose to tap into it, and healers know how to do it, know how to tap into it and bring it in.
And when you were saying before, Jennifer, about the surrender part, we're talking, you were mentioning surrender in the sense that the client needs to surrender in order to allow the healing energy in, but also the healer needs to surrender.
Yes.
The healer needs to surrender because, as we said earlier about getting out of your own way,
yes.
we are not actively doing anything.
Yes. And sometimes we want
to. Really hard thing to do. And even people who have been healing for a while will still sort of, be in the middle of the healing act and wonder if they should, move their hands or, it's like, well, that's a clue.
I'm really good at that one.
Whenever should comes in, chuck it out the window. So
I do that a lot. I've got a very active mind, and I'm questioning, and should as you mentioned, I do things, and then I just get no, get out of the way and just let them get on with it. Let it get on with it.
Yeah. So it's very much the art of allowing ourselves to be the instrument.
Yes.
And that can be quite a challenge for us that have busy minds.
Yes.
And again, it's an act of trust and surrender.
Yeah, definitely.
When I might have said this on another interview before, when I started out learning to be a healer, a friend of mine and myself, we decided that we needed to have the words trust and surrender tattooed on our foreheads backwards so that we would see it every time we looked in the mirror. Because it boils down to trust and surrender 9 times out of 10.
Yes, and you've been doing healing a long time. I've been a healer. Well, you've probably been a healer longer than me, but I've been a healer since 1990. So that's 33 years. You're about the same. And I'm still doing it, but I know just to shut up and get out of the way.
Yeah.
But I'm still questioning, what about this?
Yeah, so it's one of those things that takes 5 minutes to learn and a lifetime to master.
Absolutely.
Like meditation.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Valerie. It's been eye-opening, and I hope it's eye-opening for everybody who's watching our lovely video today. And we look forward to seeing you next time we want to have an interview with you about some lovely subject to do with healing. Thank you so much.
It's always great to chat. Thanks, Jennifer.
Take care. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.